doors open a little bit.
You know every sound that this car makes?
Well, just like a 90-pound door. Sorry, 90. That's 90-kilo door. Everything's in kilos if you're cool. So it's 6:45 Saturday morning. My family's asleep. We're rolling to the gym, which is a standard issue. Owning a CrossFit box is amazing, rewarding work, but a lot of times people don't realize it's like digging a ditch. And you dig a ditch 6 days a week for like 5 years, and pretty soon you have a big ditch. But it's really good work. But here we are. My family's warm and toasty, and now I'm going to go talk about snatching, which is the dream. I was a first-year PT student. I had another life as trying to be a professional kayaker, racing whitewater slalom, and I found this website. I thought it was like a mercenary site, like it was a private security site, and they had this what is fitness concept and some workouts, and I read it, of course, because I'm an internet reading whore, and I've been obsessed with this stuff since as early as I can remember. And I thought I was fit, of course, and no one I knew had ever heard of CrossFit. Nothing. I mean, it just didn't exist. It was this small. There were like 4 CrossFits. I chose the easiest workout on like an easy conditioning day. Of course, it was Cindy, and I just didn't know what hit me, and I thought it was a fluke. So I did the second. Must have been a fluke. So I did the second easiest workout on the web, which was Fran. And, with dead hang pull-ups and in the squat rack at Club 1. And 14 and a half minutes later, I knew that I had struck gold. And that's how I found CrossFit. You had access. And it was, and that, which is really one of the most interesting things about this, is that, in this age and with what's going on, is that you can have access to the best coaches on the planet, some of the best thinking on the planet, and everyone is just a click away. My birthday came around, and I told my family and everyone, you have to send me to this, CrossFit certification. There were like 10 SEALs there. Everyone was destroyed, and I had, it was one of those indoctrination moments where I was like, oh my Lord! And Greg did all the lectures, and I just felt like I was drinking in this big vast pool that blew my mind. This is a requisite stop a couple days a week.
How much was this car when you bought it?
I had to throw down $2,900. That's $2,900.
You paid $2,900 for this?
Yes. Morning. How's it going? Great. How about 2 Americanos with cream, like 16-ounce double? Doesn't that just say everything about who I am? I mean, it really is. Baller. Kelly Starrett, baller.
Take care. See ya. Bye.
Is coffee bad for you?
What do you mean? Define bad for you? You mean like the 3 liters of it that you could drink in a day? No, it's not bad for you. If you replaced 2/3 of your blood plasma with coffee, I think you would challenge your kidneys in a way that will only make you stronger. Dude, I don't know how people don't love coffee. One is that it's coffee, right? And 2, like there's a whole cult of coffee. Like I roast my own coffee. I enjoy, I have an expensive grinder. I love to, coffee is amazing and radical, and you're a fool if you don't get to drink it. We're in our 5th year of San Francisco CrossFit. We estimate, we did the math recently, and I estimate we've done maybe 50,000 workout sessions down here. There's a lot of experience in there. That's a lot of people squatting. There are a lot of people who are pretty excited about, hey, I want to own a box. They really feel passionate about coaching. They get sucked up in this community of people who are, living and thinking and breathing into this stuff. And I'm like, look, I think that's a good idea, but you have to like the work. And it's not for everyone. But you need to be really excited about teaching squatting over and over and over again. and being obsessed with human movement and, you know, getting better and reading. And coaches have gotten a lot more sophisticated. CrossFit is way more sophisticated now than the beginning. And you know, the way we think about movement and write about movement and talk about movement, the people involved in the project are way more sophisticated, and what our understanding, what we expect beginners to do, and what we expect beginner coaches to do is far, far more. We are in the Presidio. So that's Chrissy Field. There's the Golden Gate Bridge. This is San Francisco CrossFit. And there was like 15 inches of trash and dirt back here. And this is the old truck turnaround for the big military semis. And I was said, hey, are you guys using that space back there? And they said, no. I was like, great, I have this little idea for launching a little strength and conditioning center. And they were like, go for it, dude. And of course, they didn't know what they were saying. And here we are in the Canopy Gym. And this is where all the magic happens. You know, people call up and they're like, hey, do you guys have showers? And I was like, showers? We don't have walls. Fantastic. That's great. Pam Lauper is San Francisco CrossFit Athlete Zero, like patient zero. And did a workout, and it started off, and I should have known, this was like the way that we should have known, is that Pam slipped on the wet stairs and like broke her back, basically.
I had the biggest bruise.
And I was like, great, I've just killed my landlord, first day of CrossFit coach. And you know, I took it to heart that you should be able to teach your neighbors how to deadlift. You know, that was our mantra. And so Pam was CrossFitter Zero. Bernard came down the next day, or a few days later.
Yeah.
And of course, what do we start off with? Something easy like Tabata squats. Just you know, you gotta reel them in, don't kill them. He asked me what a good score was. What did I say?
It's a 23, 20, 25 is a good score.
20 and 25, that is a good score, right? Andy had done 27. I know I could be in the 20s.
What would you say is the most important quality in a coach? CrossFit coach.
Most important quality?
Yeah, for you personally.
I don't know, maybe patience, because they tell you the same things over and over again, and you know, you're listening, but you can't get your body to do it. And I think a good coach will continually correct you, and you know, basically not give up on you.
Most important quality in a coach in all my years of experience of sport and training with people is someone who doesn't think that they know everything, is willing to learn and adapt and change and modify techniques, are always looking for the next new thing.
It's the environment that they create. So it starts with that, with just making sure everybody's welcome, and you know, if you don't say hello to somebody you don't know, then it's 30 burpees for the group. So that kind of sets a good standard for just taking time to come out and get to know everybody, and there's none of that kind of gym rat mentality, like, oh, you know, I've been here forever, I'm not going to talk to you because you're the new guy or the new woman. That's good.
That elitist bourgeois attitude will not stand here, man.
Exactly.
Well, I think you have to trust your coach, that they have the best interests, you know, in your training.
But really, I mean, honest feedback, I think, is the biggest thing.
And I came out, I had done CrossFit on my own off of the main site for about 2 years in a gym on my own, and just coming out and then having the coaches set that standard, and then kind of the community that they create with the coaches encouraging you, and then all the other athletes that are out working out with you, encouraging you, pushing you to get better.
I think they need to have experience and need to have trained and been in the trenches. And you know, Kelly was a world-class kayaker, and I mean, you can really believe in someone if they've actually been there and done it, as opposed to just, you know, sat down at a computer one day and decided, I'm going to be a coach.
I mean, I think that's the difference maker, and having done it off of the main site, which was great and a great introduction for it. I mean, my strength and my conditioning level was at one level, and then coming out here, it just went to a whole different level much quicker. So I consider myself kind of a test case. I mean, I did it on my own, and I thought I was fit, and then I came out here and kind of got a reality check and was able to take it up to the next level. And then, you know, as the coaching has evolved here, then, you know, your fitness level continues to increase, which is kind of nice.
I was a college athlete, took some time off after college, had a knee surgery, and Kelly did most of my rehab and started working out CrossFit style right after, and it was within a couple months. It was shocking what happened to my body, and I'm in better shape than I ever was playing in college. So ever in my life, really.
What did you play in college?
Basketball.
It's only 40 reps. How bad can it be? So here's the idea behind today's workout: is that this is going to be a manageable load. You could push press this for a heavy 5. It will be easy. But what you'll do is up front you'll be cavalier. You'll be a little bit casual. You won't have to jerk it. It's just you'll get easy lockout. It'll be no problem. And what will end up happening is at minute 7 or 8, you will start jumping like your life depended on. And I think that is the real nice stimulus about this, is that you're going to get a little bit tired, your position's going to get a little off, and then you're going to start to realize, oh, I really have to push press. So my recommendation and admonition is start push pressing early. Big jump early, get integrated, and drive it up when you're fresh. Don't be inefficient when you're fresh, and then wait till later to really turn it on with the big jump. All right, kids, 3, 2, 1. Nice job, Alex. That was really good. Really nice job. Before we just go and put away, let's just do a little bit of some knees to elbows, going from a hollowed position back into a hollowed position. So even if that's just 2 or 3, just jump up for a few rounds of those. This is not CrossFit, it's CrossFit. And what we're really after is they just spend a ton of time in extension and in a loaded position, and we just get them a little bit unloading the position and then kind of working back into that position. The other thing is that this was a heavy hip flexor dominant workout, kind of anterior chain, and if we can get them out of that anterior chain, so we're trying to go from a hollowed position and just kind of regroove what it means to kind of be neutral and reinforce that patterning overhead versus just being all hip flexor short. It's now 8:35. And I am going to the airport. CrossFit headquarters is having a training, and all of their kind of staff and traveling staff and coaches are all getting together, and we're going to talk about what it is I'm doing, and that's where I'm going now. I'll come back. At the bottom, try to swing.
Pat Sherwood, Zone Chronicles.
I heart Pat Sherwood. I'm a fan of the Zone Chronicles. I'm a fan of chronicling anyone's eating. Man, if you make a TV show about what Lance Armstrong eats, I'm gonna watch it. I just think that's cool. I think food is a little bit like religion, and that it's intensely personal, and people love to claim their little steak.
Who's a better athlete, Jason Khalipa or Miko Salo? Sorry, we're done with the easy question.
Well, obviously, in the tested, I tell you, Miko is he is a really driven, talented athlete, and living like a monk, really trying to achieve something. Both guys are amazing. But I have worked with Jason and seen Jason this last year go after his weaknesses in a freaky way. I don't think he feels pain, and he's a horse. And then he realized this year, he's like, oh, look, I have so much room to get better. I can work on mobility. I can work on my running. I can work on this and that. And like, wait till you see the retooled Khalipa. Like, that guy is going to be terrifying. I haven't worked with Miko, but I will say that I saw a lot of capacity for Miko to get better, which frightens me, because I saw a lot of stuff for that guy where I saw things that he wasn't doing and could do to become immensely better. All of the CrossFit staff are together working on their programming, their coaching cues, all of the things that makes CrossFit kind of continuing evolving it better. All these coaches are together kind of doing a workshop, roundup, and they've graciously invited the guys who do seminars to come and talk about what it is we do to the group. It's very cool, and I think one of the strengths of CrossFit is its capacity to pull really smart coaches in the same room and argue and talk about the best way to go fast and the best way to teach, and that's what I'm really excited about. And so it's a totally big honor to go down and get an hour in front of these guys because they're busy and badass. So that's what I'm going down today to do, and hopefully I will not look an ass in front of some of the smartest kids in the room, because I hate that.
Star-studded cast. Are you nervous a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, the crowd is full of
Who wouldn't be nervous?
superstars.
Like, I see all these people in the videos. Like, they're on the videos. They're on the internets, and they're famous. Some of these people I've never really met. Like, that's Nicole Carroll. That's Tony Budding.
So, don't fuck this up.
I know, right? Don't worry, just in front of everyone.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Do you need an inflexible person?
Yeah, can I pull you up? I will totally pull you up.
So we're going to kick off the after lunch extravaganza with our movement and mobility and recovery and magic, KSTARR.
I was just telling these guys that it's like being in a room full of ninjas at ninja school, and like, what do you talk to the ninjas about at ninja school? Some of you guys have only ever seen on the internet, so I'm a little starstruck. Forgive me. It would be great if I was the strongman guy, right? Or if I was the Canadian Cobra, you know, that would be awesome. But you know, I'm not the running guy, I'm the fucking stretching guy. Which, you know, is not that cool. But I sell it this way, is because everyone needs me at some point. And you need to start thinking systematically about how to solve movement dysfunction, and we need to think systematically about how to improve performance. And it's the latter piece that's so relevant and so pressing, because I can't make a case for you to stretch or mobilize your hips or fix your structure to become more efficient, because you're going to put off orthopedic dysfunction. Because Aaron, if we open up your ankles, you are going to maybe less likely to end up in flexion and have a herniated disc, right? She's on the national team. She's the best rower in the world. She's an Olympic gold medalist. Like, that's not good enough. But what if I'm like, hey, Aaron, we get into your hips, we look at your ankles, we look at how you're breaking apart on your erg and how your shoulder flies, and suddenly you're going faster, and she's like, you got me. Why? Because we need to sell this stuff in terms of performance. We will have injury resolution. We will have injury prevention. All that stuff's good, but what do we really give a crap about? Hot, dirty, nasty performance. And dirty, nasty performance, right? And so what should happen is, if you're crossfitting correctly, if you're a weightlifting sprinter gymnast, you should come up against all of your stuff. You should come up against that you're inefficient, and that you break down, and that you fall apart at 405 deadlift for reps, and that your shoulders are tight because you pitched in college. That's going to come to light. And what we need to do is, when athletes come to see us and they're starting to find these things, we need to say, aha, that's an aha moment. There's a chance for us to get better and address the things we're weak at, which is part of our mandate. It's part of the thing that we're supposed to do. Does that make sense? So one of the things that's happened is we have a lot of people who are moving and are freakishly strong moving, but you watch Miko Salo, watch him move, and what should you be seeing? A beast? Yes. A beast who can get better? Yes. And what I'm asking you is, take a critical look at his movement. Don't just look at his performance. How do you help someone like that? How do you get Olympic rowers in your gym and make them faster? How do you get better Olympic lifters in your gym and make them stronger? We look at what are the movement compromises they're making, what movement strategies they're doing, how they ended up being who they are. And they might be very good at it. The question is, can we make them better and put off those problems that may show up? Questions? Dave Castro.
You're the man, KSTARR. Another one, that was cool. He's there.
Right, if I look at your hip range of motion, right here I'm already dragging your pelvis around, right? Can you feel that?
Yeah.
And you feel how your hip's becoming proud? So your hip, instead of rolling, sliding, and gliding in place, is basically pulling all of the tissues with it. Instead of having a hip that's pivoting in place, being more efficient, yours is rolling and catching and pulling and creating a longer neural sac. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And what we need to do, you can see that that's the block, that's the end of it, and you're about 35 degrees short here, right? So what we want to do is open up that hip, and you see the lateral excursion, or that medial excursion, where I'm basically trying to shove your hip joint out your socket. Can you feel that? Do you feel that inside or outside?
Back here and
Good. Excellent.
hip flexor.
You okay with this?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you can see already
Oh yeah. It's
better
feels much
excursion.
looser.
You feel the difference?
Yeah.
You feel how the hip is on the back of the socket?
Yeah.
So it's rotating in plane. It's not stuck, right?
Yeah. That's amazing.
And then you can see what the internal external rotation feels like. And even locked there, now we have a lot more rotation. So now I'm just going to come in. So tissue load ordering matters, right? How you bias tissues in order, how affects what gets loaded the most. So I want to load the back of your socket. So boom, I load the back of the socket first, right? This is why you deadlift a certain way. This is why you set up a certain way.
It's better actually. Yeah.
How much better? What way?
At least 50%.
Great.
Like I feel the spot that I've always felt, but it's not restricting my hamstring now.
And keep in mind that this has been going on for a few years.
Yeah.
So if
at
we can
least
make a
2 years.
50% change in anything, so just in the deadlift, do you feel how that feels like that left butt cheek is way further back?
Yeah.
Do you feel that? We're in this unique situation where there's this phenomenon, we have people's attention, and no one is doing this better than we are. No one's talking to more people or more obsessed with movement than we are. And subsequently, now is a serious time to work and to make a change in the way we think and the way we eat and the way we're responsible for ourselves. That looks good, G-Star. Whoa, look at that straddle. Ooh! Seat back up. Well, it's about, what is the seminar about? It's called Movement and Mobility. That's the handle, but it's really about kind of exploring the limits of performance as it relates to kind of movement dysfunction, lack of range of motion. I think that consistently people fail to appreciate and fail to exploit that their positioning, setup, flexibility, mobility have large implications on the sports that they're doing and large implications on kind of their performance and work outputs. They don't even realize it. And it's because it's hard to coach, it's hard to be coached in that stuff. It's a whole sort of weird discipline of like, I don't really understand. I've just always stood like this and I've always been this guy, and how my short hips affect my clean. And so it's about kind of helping people understand the passive drags on their system and how do we make these athletes more efficient, how do we make them more effective. The movement is perfect, the programming is perfect, CrossFit is perfect, Olympic lifting is perfect, what's not perfect is the athlete. Part of our program and part of being a good coach is identifying those weaknesses and systematically addressing them with your athletes. But we need to have a kind of very systematic, codified, simple way for an average coach to be able to start to address the disparate populations, radically different people. From my grandmother, my mom works out at CrossFit in Denver, to kind of the Olympic athlete who's got tight hips. On the one level we see that, and on the second is that people have no idea how to treat just simple pain stuff. And one of the things is that best orthopedic function, idealized setup, mechanics, best expression of technique, which ultimately leads to best expression of power, also is safest joint positioning, also is idealized human movement that unloads tissues, puts joints into the best position. And so those kind of the two side goals of one is creating idealized human performance and two is resolving pain through kind of better human movement. Those are synonymous and congruent. The number one thing is that people need to develop a mobility practice. This is how the best thing that a human being can do for themselves. Figure out where they're tight, figure out what the problem is, and then you need to go after some piece of your body that's restricted. You know, maybe you need to open up your pecs and stretch, or maybe your extension is totally limited because you sit at a desk all day, right? You know, awareness training, mindfulness of your body, you know, is a whole daily process. You don't just meditate for 15 minutes. You meditate so you can be present for the whole day, right? Yeah. It's about bringing awareness training, and part of it, you can't just stretch your business and then go back to, you know, your crappy self, you know.
These girls have basically been raised at the gym, which we think is so fortunate because they, part of the reason they're so comfortable around people is they've been down interacting with, you know, people they don't know their whole lives, and that's been just kind of a cool side benefit of having the gym. It's just been great. They've been always around people. We didn't have a business plan. We didn't really have any long-term planning. We just knew we wanted to be involved in this. We knew that it would be a really fun and interesting thing to do. And so we just, you know, we literally just got our little parking lot spot, and we had some friends at another gym, and they gave us these 3 hex bars and a couple other little pieces of equipment. We bought some equipment, cheap equipment on Craigslist, and then we just started having a few people come down, our friends, and at that point we were just running as a sole proprietorship, and we did that for the first couple of years. You know, we didn't have any, we had a really small website, but we didn't have any, you know, now we have this whole online scheduling system and all these sort of more sophisticated things, but we didn't have any of that stuff. And for the first 6 months, we had 1 class a day, 6 days a week, and Kelly taught every single class. I was working full-time as a lawyer at that time, and Kelly was in his 2nd or 3rd year of PT graduate school, so we were definitely really busy. Oh, and we had Georgia was probably 1, a newborn basically. For the first several years we operated, we literally would just, anytime we had a positive number in our bank account, our CrossFit bank account, we would use that money to buy more equipment. So, you know, my job was sort of supporting the family financially. So anytime we had a plus anything in the bank account, we'd buy more equipment. And we just slowly but surely started to build up our equipment stores. And slowly but surely our friends started bringing friends. We had probably between 30 and 50 members for the first 3 years. And I would say we really were not making any money, because anytime we made money, we would just invest it back in the business. And I think after about 3 years, we sort of had an exponential increase, and we've just been sort of growing exponentially. We probably have more than 200 members. We probably have over 200 members.
Plus all the other projects.
And we now have plus or minus 1, about 8 coaches working for us. Yeah, and there's some parts of it that just almost run itself now, you know, like the membership, you know, the membership is sort of the core of it, and gives us the flexibility to do some other, you know, we now have Kelly's physical therapy practice down there, and he's doing his seminars, and we have our, you know, we really give our coaches a lot of flexibility to do some interesting stuff. And having that base of programming, base of members, gives us the flexibility to do other stuff. I could see how any Joe CrossFit who opens could start to sort of think, wow, 2 years have passed and I'm not, you know, I don't have 200 members and I'm not starting to make it. But I think in a business like this, where it's about clients and it's about building a reputation, it takes years for that to happen. So I think, you know, people are kidding themselves if they think they can open a CrossFit and start making a ton of money within a year, because it's a client-oriented business. And so that, it just takes a long time to build that core group of clients and get noticed. And so, you know, I'm glad we didn't move somewhere else, because we needed to take that time to build the business, basically. That's not for you.
So we're going to CrossFit Tamalpais. It's a grand opening. Got the girls.
Just love of CrossFit. We found three of us own it, and we love the place and love each other. And I know that's cheering up. But it really is a family thing. Kelly's advice was create a place where people love to train, and we'll be successful. So that's what we're going for. He's well, you know, he changed my world in terms of CrossFit. And I want to have other people be successful in CrossFit, and this mobility and recovery work. Just the best I've come across. So, you know, what do you do when you're not working out? You know, and he has the answers for that. I was broken. I had this thing in my neck I hurt from deadlifting, and I saw Kelly once, and he fixed me. Had me on the table. Literally was sweaty and crying and about to tap out. It hurt so much, but he fixed me in an hour, and he's good at what he does. So I wanted to invite him here, and he's a friend.
And what I'd like to talk to you about today is when that stuff comes up for you, when you're confronted by your lack of shoulder range of motion as you learn 9 Olympic sports, right, that you're not frustrated. But that's part of the beauty and the magic, is that we're trying to build people who are functional until they're 130 years old. And that you're 130 and then, well, the reason you died is because you're being chased by the cops and you were in that stolen, you know, Corvette with your lover and you drove off the cliff, right? And to that point, you attended a CrossFit workout in the morning. And the goal is to be as functional and to leave as fulfilled a kind of physical life as you can for as long as you can. And that's really what this is about. Maybe we have aspiring young athletes, that's fantastic. I am a middle-aged man. My strength and conditioning gives me the confidence as I get older to do anything I want to do. It's called the mini pal too.
So just
Try not
to
stick your elbows into the knives, okay? Hoop!
I can't do it.
What do you mean you can't do it? Get in there.
Okay, now jump down and open the garage, love bug.
Land just like you do in gymnastics. Let's see it.
I can't do it.
Come on, you got it. 3, 2, 1. Big jump. Land with your hands up. Go. Nice. You let us in this way, pal? People ask me why you have children. That's why I have children. Good job, G. High five. You know, and the athletic advantage, the competitive advantage that CrossFit gives you by competing every single day, by getting used to having a clock, getting used to being driven for max performance, max effort, having something on the line, having something to risk every single day. Having a system set up where you get to consistently practice being in a competitive environment, and it doesn't necessarily mean against someone else, but having a clock on, going for as many reps, having a max effort, you know, episode every single time, suddenly you practice the sphere response, and like anything else, you get a lot better at competition. And I think that is not insignificant. So for our athletes, practicing this sphere response, practicing the competition, you know, is really an advantage. But for the average person, coming in, and CrossFit is so difficult and so intense that I think it forces kind of a mindlessness, a no mind state, where I'm worried about taking my next breath, and I can't worry about, did I turn the oven off? Are my kids going to get into kindergarten? You know, what does that guy at work think about me? And suddenly, for a short time, I have really, really intense focus. And this kind of training is sufficiently difficult and robust that it requires deep focus.
What Carl was teaching me is you do butt to table and then do a little forward roll.
Butt to table, a forward roll? Yeah. That sounds crazy. Hold on, you okay, G? Butt, table, forward flip.